Hi everyone, I hope you are all doing well. So right now you are looking at my Piilu and my Westerplatte Clematis, and you can see that there are very few blooms left on that group of 2 plants. And so it is a type 2 clematis, which means that it blooms once in late spring, early summer. And then what we normally do is we shear it back a little bit, and then it sends out new fresh growth, and then set buds and bloom for us in September, which is the second flush. And if you recall what it looked like this past early summer, it was gorgeous. It was covered in blooms all the way from top to bottom. And so what I'm going to do now is I will actually cut it all the way to the bottom, let it send out new fresh growth, and therefore will send out tons of buds for me. Now the second flush is usually a little less or not as full as the first flush, so I'm not looking for that same look, but I am looking for something that is not like that. Now if you don't want to cut it back, that's fine, but just know that it won't be able to send out new growth, and therefore it will not be blooming very well for you later on in the season. So I thought I'd mention this just in case you've got a younger plant. So if you've got a plant that has been in the ground for less than 3 years, I would say just cut away the spent blooms so that the plant can focus its energy on root development and growth and so on. But if you've got a mature plant like I do, you can cut it back by a third or half. And if you're like me, that you don't like the look, once you shear it back by half, then just cut it all the way to the ground. Now I am sort of thinking that it is kind of late in the season, because normally I do this in about mid-July, but this is now at the end of July, and so I am thinking that the plant may not have enough time to put on more growth, but I'm gonna take that chance because I actually don't like the plant looking like that. So once I shear everything back or prune everything back to the base or to the soil level, what I will do is feed it a little bit of my baked and ground eggshells, as well as some rose food, which I normally give my clematis. And just follow the instructions on the rose food and give the clematis the same amount that you would normally give a mature rose plant. And here I have are some of the containers, and I have them sort of underplanted with alyssum. And if you come really close, you'll be able to see that they are about to set seed and they're looking a little lanky. So what I will do is I will shear those back, and then I will also go around and cut back all of my alyssum at the front of the garden, because I have them planted as a drift all the way around the border of the garden at the front. So here is a close-up of the alyssum, and you can see all of this that you're seeing here. Those are all seeds that the alyssum are sort of setting. So I want to cut that away so that the plant can focus its energy on sending out new blooms and will look nice and fresh for me. And you can see here at the front garden, I've got the carpet of snow alyssum planted all the way around. And you can kind of see that this side, it's actually doing worse than this side. So there's tons of seeds that are set on those plants. So I'm just gonna shear them all the way back to the ground and let them put out new growth and bloom well for me in the next week or so. And the same goes for this side of the bed as well. I've got them planted all the way around, and also some of the containers here as well. Those need to be cut back as well because they're just starting to be really lanky. So I don't really like the look of that. So let me just set everything up and go through all of that with you today. So after cutting back a little bit, you can kind of see that the interior of the clematis is all dead growth. So this is why I normally shear everything sort of all the way back to the ground and let it put out new fresh growth. So with the alyssum in the ground, what I normally do is I cut it all the way to about 2-3 inches from the ground and let it flush brand new growth all the way from the base. And usually that I also give it a little bit of food around this time, slow release fertilizer, as well as some of my water soluble. So just in case you want to know what the alyssum seed looks like, those are all the little sort of orangey brown color specks here. So the little white ones are actually the petals of the alyssum flowers. So if you want to collect this, you could put it on a large piece of newspaper, and then just kind of shake all the seeds out and then collect it afterwards. But I think I'm gonna collect the seeds later on in the season, so now I'm just gonna put them in the compost and finish up my work here. So what I'm going to do now is give the alyssum and all of my annual containers a little bit of the shake and feed ultra bloom, just a tiny bit, just so that it can start to put out some new growth and start blooming for me in the next week or so. So here's how this island garden looks like right now. You can see that the vanilla strawberry have started blooming, and the limelight tree, it's also starting to bloom as well. And the blooms are a little bit of a chartreuse green right now. I did also give each annual plant a little bit of the slow release fertilizer. So hopefully it will grow and start blooming pretty soon. And my William Langworth geranium has started blooming beautifully. I love that color. It's like a sort of a deep coral pink. It's got a hint of red in it, orange in it. Looks really pretty. And on this side of the bed, you can see how severe the two containers at the front are cut back. But I think they were just starting to look really messy and getting in the way, right? So now I think everything looks airy. And the quickfire tree has started to turn that blush pink at the end of July, and it looks really, really pretty. I love this sort of light color pink on the quickfire. And there is a little monarch butterfly on it as well, so I'm not going to be disturbing it. And this plant is just so great. It's a pollinator magnet. There's always tons of bees and pollinators on this plant, feeding on the fertile flowers of the quickfire panicles. Cutting back the alyssum is always a very drastic event for me, but I think this kind of gives the front garden a much more airy look to it, because I don't really like too much of that tall growth of the alyssum. So I think this is a good change. So that concludes today's video. I want to say thank you so much for spending time with me in the garden today. Take care, everyone. I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye for now.